You can take a campus tour. You can have lunch with students. You can sit in on a class. You can talk with, someone like me in admissions or one of my colleagues. Walk into the dining hall and ask staff there, how's the food? What do students like to do on the weekends?
Welcome everyone to Ask Admissions. We are here at University of Redlands. The man, VP of Enrollment, Kevin Dyerly. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
This is really awesome. This is a spectacular campus. What an amazing, I keep saying, we talk about it in the episode. I was just with the president. Because you wanted to talk about, I know we're supposed to talk about admissions here, but can we just take a moment? Because when I came onto this campus, the crew's been talking about it all week.
Yeah.
The campus is beautiful, but the location is epic.
It's spectacular. You've got a sense of community. You've got this beautiful campus. We're far enough outside of the big city to where it truly does define our community, but you're close enough to everything, right? Yeah. You got beaches, mountains, desert, Southern California's attractions and distractions all right here.
I love that. I'm gonna have to steal that from you. Okay, you're you have history here.
I do.
And you're a fixture. I mean, there's before we get into the admissions and how to get accepted here and who's the right student, all that stuff, you want to talk about your history here with the university?
Yeah, so I'm a third generation Bulldog alum. Started with my grandparents. My grandfather came back on the GI Bill, and actually my mother was spent her first year of life on the University of Redlands campus when he was finishing up his bachelor's degree. They moved out to the desert.
I'm so glad no one told me this story beforehand.
Yeah. So my mom comes back 18 years later, earns her degree here, grew up nearby, and sure enough, I land here as a first-year student and had a phenomenal experience. Yeah. Met my wife here, and she's now an elementary school principal. So it's in my DNA. Yeah. I started my career in admissions, spent about 5 years here, and then decided I should go see somewhere else. All I knew was the University of Redlands. Was fortunate enough to go to another institution, service director of admissions there for 7 years, and then was drawn back to the University of Redlands in 2012. Have served as VP of enrollment since then, and I consider it a privilege. I get to pay it forward. I get to help provide access to future generations of Bulldog students to have, hopefully, as ideal of an experience as my wife and I had years ago.
Yeah. How awesome is that, man?
It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. What a great story. And speaking about paying it forward, I believe, a lot of first generation, HSI institution, love to talk about the admissions process from that perspective, because it's always a challenge if it's nice. I always say, my parents went to college, right? So it was even tricky for them to try to figure it out and help me along in the process. Imagine if you don't have someone being able to help that.
Right.
And at least what we've heard is that you guys do an amazing job trying to educate and help people on that pathway. So I'd love you to walk the audience through that to understand what you all do to help.
Right. So I had that path carved, right? 3 family members who had come before me here, right? And so I was fortunate. I learned the octomole, which was one of our kind of historical traditional chants as a young child. My wife is a first generation college student. My best friend, who's now a member of Congress, my roommate here, also a first generation student. My freshman roommate was a first generation student. So, if I think about the last half a dozen years here, almost half of our entering first year class are among the first generation in their family to go to college. And I think part of what attracts many of our first generation students and why they're so successful here is because it really does feel like it's a community where they belong. Our first generation students retain and graduate at rates as high, if not some years higher than the rest of our student body. So we've got quite a bit of success there. I think we're thoughtful and intentional about what we do to help prepare first generation students to navigate that college admissions and financial aid process, whether it's Redlands or another institution. So for example, we're out in the community here in FAR doing a lot of admissions and financial aid workshops. We're working with AVID, Advancement via Independent Determination, a lot of AVID classrooms across the country who are focused on helping first gen students make it to college. One of the things that we've adopted here in the last half a dozen years or so is an Are You Ready program. And so this is a 2-day workshop in the summer where we bring rising juniors and seniors in high school. They get to spend 2 days on campus. They They learn how to fill out the Common Application. We help them figure out how to file the FAFSA. They work on their personal essay for their college application. They get to do a science lab with our faculty. They get to stay in the residence halls. They get to be a student for a couple days. And we've heard time and time again that program has helped them navigate the actual application financial aid process 6 months, a year later when they go through it. So that's just one of the programs I think that's really worked for us.
Yeah, that's it. So whether you're first generation, not, or third generation like you, what do you think the first step is? Like whether I've watched this episode, I'm watching this video right now that we're doing, I heard about some other way. It's like, I want to learn more. I want to take that first step. What is your suggestion to, prospective students, parents, teachers, everyone that's going to be helping in this process to come here?
Well, first step is just to get to know institutions however you can. This, the college tour is a phenomenal opportunity to start to research institutions virtually without having to get onto a campus. That said, I always encourage students and families, go step foot on a campus, even if it's the one in your community and that's not a school that you are eager to apply to or to attend. It's amazing when you step foot on a campus. You can generally, like at Redlands, you can take a campus tour, you can have lunch with students, you can sit in on a class, you can talk with someone like me in admissions or one of my colleagues. Walk into the dining hall and ask staff there, how's the food? What do students like to do on the weekends? Just to get a sense for the community and whether or not you feel like that would be a good fit. That'll go a long way, and then figuring out what's important to me as I think about where I want to spend the next 4 years.
Yeah, wow, that's such great advice. Who is the perfect student, do you think? Is there a perfect student here?
It's a good question. I mean, there are so many different types of students that thrive at Redlands, but I'll tell you something that came up in one of our staff retreats this summer, and I actually got to attribute it to our head baseball coach. He said that he describes Redlands as an "and" school. And what Coach Hawley means by that is students who thrive at Redlands are ones who really want to do multiple things. So they want to play baseball and sing in the a cappella group, or they want to study physics and music. They want to do a service internship and be involved in cultural organizations on campus. This is a small enough community where you can do a lot of different things, and they don't have to be natural fits, right? And we could talk about the curriculum too. We've got a lot of interdisciplinary programs that fits for students who are interested in multiple different things. So students who want to lean in, we had a town hall last night, and I told students that one of the great pieces of advice that I got when I was in their shoes is an upper class student told me, the more you lean into Redlands, the more Redlands will return. And so that's, as long as you come with that attitude, I think you could be a great fit here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's good you touched on it just a second ago, but students here have a very personalized experience. You guys specialize in almost this like personal curriculum, carving, like where do you want to go in life? Like, can you talk to when do they need to decide that? How should they be thinking about that? Can they just come here and just come to school and then you all help them through that? Because it's amazing how personalized it is, but how do you even, sometimes whether you're young or you're re-careering, sometimes it's hard to get your brain thinking of what is that first thing I should be thinking about? So I'm curious how you all attack that.
Yeah, no, great question. We tell students, you don't really need to know what you want to study as a major until maybe the beginning or the middle of your sophomore year. You've really got 2 or 3 semesters to just explore. Our curriculum is really split into thirds. So you're gonna explore, and you're gonna get a breadth of courses and exposure to different disciplines. Then you're gonna declare a major and pursue that. And in between, you're going to get to take some additional electives that just sound of interest to you. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think we're really known for is our innovative curriculum and academic opportunities. So I think about the fact that our School of Education has been around for over 100 years. It's one of the oldest and one of the first schools of education in the state of California. We've got the second oldest accredited school of music, now a conservatory of music in the entire state of California.
That's incredible.
One of the things that I was able to benefit from in the curriculum was the Salzburg semester, which is one of the oldest continuously running study abroad programs in the country, and it's run by Redlands, right? So we take 30 to 35 students to Austria every semester. You live in this 450-year-old former monastery, meals prepared there, classes there, sleeping there, and you use it as a home base to travel all over Europe for the course of the semester. The Johnston Center, which is probably one of our most innovative programs, founded in the late 60s. Students are able, it's a living and learning community where students can design their own emphasis or their own major, essentially. There's a number of examples of how our innovative approach to the curriculum makes it personalized for students. And then more recently, I think about, our faculty have created a major in human animal studies. How many colleges have a human animal studies major? A parent actually called me the other day and said, my daughter's looking at Redlands because of human animal studies.
How cool is that?
Health, medicine, and society, another interdisciplinary program for students interested in the health profession. And then lastly, geographic information systems, which the largest GIS company in the world is 2 miles from where we're sitting. And so students have a wonderful opportunity to be able to use data and maps to tell stories and to look at patterns and to solve, complex problems. So it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Is there any question I should be asking you while we, getting to let the audience into, this cool experience and just your knowledge and history? Or is there anything like?
Well, I mean, I think maybe the only other thing I can think of is, as students are going through this process and thinking about visiting campus, I'll tell you that we had a counselor come to visit about a year ago, and he was coming from Missouri, and his counselor did a 45-minute podcast on his visit to Redlands afterwards, and he talked about a lot of great things that impressed him. But the thing that really resonated for me is he says, I've been on over 400 college and university campuses as a high school counselor.
Wow.
And there are a number of beautiful places across the country. This counselor said, Redlands is the most beautiful campus I've ever been on. And so, I think my last piece of advice to students, if what you've seen in this episode really resonates for you, come see us, come check us out. We are eager to meet with students and parents and to show them what you've experienced today, meeting our students, our faculty, our president, and others.
Yeah, well, it's great that we're wrapping up with this because that was my first question. Honestly, even though we're talking about admissions and all that, I wanted to even just bring it up because it really is. I personally, I don't live far from here. I live down in Marina Del Rey.
Right.
So I'm not far from this campus. And so, but when I got here, I was like, this is unbelievable. And I'm seeing the chatter, I'm hearing the crew and everyone's talking about, but there's nothing better than coming out and just seeing it for yourself. Just go on that amazing quad with the amazing clock tower and with massive snow-capped mountains in the backdrop while people are 70 degrees down here. It's a special place.
Yeah, there's no better view than to stand on the administration building, look out over the quad with the oak trees and the palm trees in the foreground, and see snow-capped mountains in the background. So we're pretty fortunate.
Yeah, you're right. I can see why there's 3 generations in your family doing that. Listen, this has been. Thank you for taking a minute talking to the audience about. It's awesome. This institution's amazing. Everyone I've met here has been awesome, and so you got to come check it out. And just thanks for giving a little bit of time today. It's awesome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.